Hello, one and all, from a new location. Tony East here with Forbes. We have to talk about a Pacers win again. I'm downstairs today, so hopefully this all sounds and looks pretty good. Pacers win their third in a row, beating the Portland Trailblazers tonight in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It was fun to be there, but there was action on the court afterwards, so I didn't have time to sit there and make a video. We'll do it right here. The story of the game, very, very obvious to me. Really the foursome of the Pacers' best offensive talents coming together, and more specifically, the duo of Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam really, really linking up and shining. And it was more than just the fact that they were both really good. But that is where I want to start, which is 28 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds for Tyrese Haliburton. Another fantastic game. The road part of his season will be the questions after this homestand, but he is certainly the longest stretch of sustained great play from him in a row here, with his third good game in a row, plus half in Milwaukee. Looking quite good, like last year's player. Taking and making threes certainly helps, but 7 free throw attempts led the Pacers, scoring inside the arc as well, and 10 assists, 2 steals. That will always work for him, plus 17, right? The thing that's mattered for him of late to me has been that he's made threes, but the other stat that stood out to me is that he's taking threes. When he's playing like this, the Pacers are fringe, one of the best offenses in the league, and he'd only taken 10 threes in a game twice before the Bucks game last Friday. And now he's taken 10 or more threes 4 games in a row. So you can tell he's creating that separation, getting that movement, getting the shots he wants, and of course, he's making them, right? So that makes him look better, but it all is tied together with good offense, good ball movement. He's going crazy right now, and that really matters for the Pacers. Siakam was also excellent. 29 for Mr. Siakam in this one. 12 for 27 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. He held up some bench units in this game in a major way. 29 ties, his season high. I'm actually surprised he hasn't had a 30-point game yet, but they needed him to be great again, especially in this game with the way Portland was aligned. Right? Portland banged up. No Jeremy Grant. They started Deni Avdija and Toumani Camara as their wings in this game. Camara had foul trouble. Avdija is definitely more of a wing perimeter guy, like a threes wing. And Camara is good, but a little on the shorter-ish side. And DeAndre Ayton was at the 5. He can't guard a guy like Siakam. And the other two players were Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons. It's not like Camara and Avdija is a useless duo against Siakam, but he had a mismatch advantage against pretty much anyone. Camara was probably the best option, but the Blazers smartly wanted to put him on Tyrese Haliburton, so they didn't have a good answer for Siakam. And their bench players, Scoot Henderson, Delano Benton, Ryan Rupert, and Jabari Walker, also not good options on Pascal Siakam. So it's just a matchup thing. 20 shots for Siakam because he very often had the best chance to just turn and create. He could shoot over someone, he could spin past someone, whatever, and he took advantage of that. 29 for him as well, like I said, with good stats elsewhere, chipping in, making threes, getting to the foul line as well. So 57 combined points for Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner in this game. They had not hit 50 in a game yet this year. They had 48 against the Pelicans on Monday. It was very important that they were stars in that game. They had 49 combined against the Knicks when Haliburton had 35, but Siakam only had 14, right? That was Haliburton's best offensive game until this week. They were both fairly good against Boston, obviously, right? They've had good games in the high 40s, but never hit 50 and almost hit 60 in this game. So just on that alone, in a night where the Pacers weren't great at all, they were losing by 10 in the second quarter and really needed to turn things around. A lot of stuff went into that, but those two playing well is how the Pacers won. The specifics of how they played well and how the Pacers closed this game out, because it was within 4, maybe even less than that, in the fourth quarter, within 5 in crunch time yet again. Pacers have yet to have a non-clutch victory this season. The game was within 1 possession at times in this fourth quarter. They relied on the Siakam-Haliburton 2-man game down the stretch of this game. Very often, no matter how far from the basket it was. Haliburton got one screen from Pascal Siakam, basically in the corner between the half-court line and the sideline out of bounds. No matter how far from the basket, that's what the Pacers wanted to get to. Both because those two players were playing very well, and because Siakam had a matchup advantage often in this game, like I said. So it just made a lot of sense for him to be setting screens. And so if you run through a lot of late game Pacers baskets when this game was tight, right? It's 103-106 with 5.5 minutes to go. Pascal Siakam 3 assisted by Haliburton. Next possession, Pascal Siakam turnaround assisted by Haliburton. Alley-oop to Quentin Jackson assisted by Haliburton. Next basket, Siakam. Next basket, Haliburton 3. They were responsible for every basket or point via an assist or themselves scoring for the last 5.5 minutes of this game. In fact, Haliburton hit a three with 7:05 to go to extend the Pacers' lead to 5. So the last basket of this game that was not scored or assisted by Siakam or Haliburton was Ben Mathurin with 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Mathurin was very good in the second half of this game. And for the entire fourth quarter, that Mathurin basket was the only one not scored or assisted by a Pacers player. Or excuse me, by one of those two stars. That was obvious, by a Pacers player. They were awesome down the stretch. And that is where this game really stood out to me specifically, is that they didn't just get good games from those two players. They dominated clutch time, contributing in every way. 23 of the 25 points either scored or created by them in that fourth quarter. That is what stood out to me, and how the Pacers got their third straight win, 3 in a row, up to 9-10. That's very huge for them, obviously, in the course of their season. The East stinks. Every win's going to count, even if they're playing bad, banged-up teams. This team has not inspired any confidence that they can win against teams like that in the past. They have this week, and that was the big story. The more zoomed-out version of that is 96 of the Pacers' 121 points in this game came from their 4 best offensive talents. Those two, of course, had 57, 15 from Miles Turner, who was not hitting his threes at all, but was 6 for 10 on twos. Had 6 offensive rebounds. That was huge. A lot of them came early in the game, a couple on one possession, but still important, and 5 blocks, right? So Turner did a lot of dirty work stuff in this game, but also mixed in 15 points, right? If he had hit his threes, he would have had an excellent night. It turned out to just be an okay night, but still 15 points plus 22, right? He did very well in the matchup against DeAndre Ayton at times. And Benedict Mathurin, who was slower early in the game, but really found his footing when a couple plays were called for him in the third quarter, and then he kind of rode that momentum the rest of the way. He had 24 points, led the team with 10 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers. He was also plus 22. He was great. Again, like I said, in that third quarter when the Pacers really took off. This game was tight at halftime. Second quarter, Blazers were up 10. Once Mathurin got rolling, the whole team really got rolling. He hit the 3 to give the Pacers their first major lead with the crowd into it. So big game for Mathurin. Him, Turner, Haliburton, Siakam combined for 96 points tonight. Excellent game from that group, and that is the second most by that foursome this season. They had 94 in the game that Miles had 34 earlier. They had 113. That was their best combined. That was the Knicks game when Haliburton and Mathurin alone got to 73. They had 94 in the game that Haliburton and Siakam were both great against Boston, obviously. So they've been good in many games, but 96, their second most of the season. And Portland did not score particularly well. They were banged up. They got to 114 with really hot three-point shooting. Pacers won this game despite shooting 5% worse from deep, but those stars carried the way. No one else on the Pacers even hit 10 points. Quentin Jackson had a fine game. Obviously, he's been playing pretty well for them. Obi Toppin was fine enough efficiency, but no one on the bench really popped. They needed the stars to carry them, and they did. They absolutely did. That's how Pacers get win number 9, a chance for a season-changing homestand. If they can beat Detroit Friday, which is not an easy task, that's definitely going to be their most difficult opponent of this homestand. They'll be 10-10, not a good mark through 20 games, but acceptable enough as they try to push ahead and prove that they can win games on the road. That'll be their next task. We'll be all over it. I'll be at that Pistons game on Friday. Hopefully can do video in the arena that time. Hope you guys enjoyed this one and learned something. If you want way more breakdowns on all this stuff, Locked On Pacers is the place for you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.